Hello, hello?
Hello, hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, dude. How you doing?
Can you hear me? I can hear you, dude. How you doing?
Pretty good. Let me turn off your stream.
All right, sounds good. I wasn't going to say it right away. I was eventually going to say it, though, because there's so much feedback. Oh, you're good.
Okay, I'm having a hard time hearing your end.
So if it's too quiet or something, you can right-click my portrait, and you can ramp the volume up as well.
My portrait, and you can ramp the volume up as well.
Are you on speakers? Oh, shit. Yeah, I was going to say, maybe if you are actually using speakers, probably set up a push-to-talk. Otherwise, it's going to feedback like crazy. And I can show you how to do that, too, if you don't know how, if you're not used to Discord. Bum, bum, bum. Yo, by the way, thank you very much for the sub, Hellscream, for that Twitch Prime.
Yo, by the way, thank you very much for the
Thank you, dude.
for that.
All right. Yo, Jason, is there anything I can help you with right now?
Jason, is there anything I can help you with right
On my phone instead. I think that's going to work better.
Okay, yeah, that sounds 1,000 times better.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, that's it sounds like a mic now. It doesn't sound like I'm talking to someone in like a bathroom of a restaurant. But you're good, dude. So when no rush, take your time. But as soon as you're ready, just jump on North America BattleNet, and then let me know when you're there, and we can add each other to start up the lesson.
Okay, I'm on it.
Okay. So now, all I want you to do is left-click your portrait in top right, like the avatar,
Okay.
and then over on the left side where it says ladders, click that, and then
Okay.
click it again for Grandmaster. Scroll down to rank 152, and then you can just message me directly like that. Easy peasy. Gonna have to up this rank so that number doesn't feel so bad.
Okay.
Alright, sick. Okay, so I will add you to a group. I'll make you the party leader. And then all you gotta do now is click on the replays button in top middle.
Okay.
And find whatever replay it is you want us to look at right now, and then hit watch with others on the bottom.
Okay.
Perfect.
Let's start with this one.
And then before you start it, right-click my name one more time in the lobby and promote me to lobby host so I can control the timer and stuff. All right, perfect, dude. We're in. This is it. It's happening now. It's all official.
Okay.
So how you doing, man?
Oh, doing pretty good.
We got ourselves a silver. You said so, yeah. Silver Terran versus Protoss game going on. We'll definitely be talking about like your build, like your macro, specifically. And just out of curiosity, are you kind of following the B2GM guide already?
I haven't been. Mike told me about it, and so I'm going to take a look at it.
Sure.
But no, I haven't been.
Do you what kind of a style do you prefer to kind of play when you play as Terran?
Well, what I've been experimenting with is basically an early push with Widowmines and Marines, and then hope that contains them long enough that I can macro and then hit them with late game units, at about the 15-minute mark.
Sure. I will say, for like if you want to do bio, I will 100% coach you on bio if that's what you genuinely want to do. But doing bio when you're developing your macro is it's basically going to be very difficult for you because when you go bio units, you are forced to micro because those units absolutely suck if they're not microed. Like they are some of the bio can be some of the best units in the game if controlled properly, and some of the worst units in the game if not. So it's like again, if we go down that bio path right now, that is totally fine. But I can try and give you some tips and techniques about how to macro while you're microing, but it's just gonna be fucking hard for a silver player, like because you're. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's what the 4 replays I've suggested, and I don't think we'll get through all of them.
Sure.
Are all early cheeses.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think I'm gonna change the server because your mic just went crazy and I couldn't hear a word you said. I'm sorry, dude. Where are you from exactly? Are you in the U.S.?
Yeah, Seattle.
Okay, I'm gonna go U.S. West, and I just changed it to U.S. West. Hopefully that fixes it a little bit. But your mic just like went full robotic. I couldn't hear anything, so I apologize if you wouldn't mind saying that again.
Okay. Yeah, the 4 replays I selected, all basically the games went a lot longer because I was mad. But I basically died in the first 5 minutes, and so
okay.
I'm basically looking at how do I deal with an early 4-gate, early cannon rush.
Sure. All right. So I mean, I'll just for the first game, we'll just talk about what you've done. We'll go into things you could do in the future, like like if I were to say something like, well, we could totally go into mech here, in next games. If that sounds good to you, then we can talk about that. But for this first one, we'll just talk about exactly what you did.
Sounds good.
But first things first, this just for getting a decent understanding of the game, like while you're playing it, this SCV right now, we'll just say this: your build is very, 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 whatever way you allocate your resources. Okay, like if you go heavier minerals, if you go quicker gas. These things need to make sense with your build, and since you are in Silver League, I'm not gonna just automatically be like, yeah, you need a Reaper and you need to be scouting, even though later on you will. Like it's kind of required once you get to like Platinum Plus. But for now, if you don't make a gas when you make a barracks, that's okay. But I hope this means that you're gonna go for like, let's say, a faster command center. That's the one trade-off that would make sense for you, where it's like you'll have a little bit less power in scouting because you still should set an SCV. But now you'll have like a quicker command, a quicker expansion to make more SCVs with. Increases your timing potential. We'll see how it goes. Like your gas right now I don't really have a problem with it. It's a little bit late for a Reaper, but it's still relatively early. But the one thing I don't like though is with a SCV 16 or SCV 17. So the guy who built that gas or the next guy who saturated it, one of those should have scouted. And the only thing I want you to see is your opponent going to expand as well.
Okay. Yeah, about half the time I send an SCV at the 1 minute mark.
Yeah, that's good. Like right around 1 minute is fine. Like 45 seconds to a minute, roughly. And then you make a reactor. See, like the one thing that I would be afraid of right now is if your opponent by chance was proxying you, like you just said a second ago, like it's like a struggle. What if you get like cannon rushed, or if you get proxy cheese or some shit? Like your build right now would be so vulnerable to a cheese. That's
what we're gonna see in just a minute.
Yeah. Okay. And like if we pause it really fast. And we look at your command center, okay? You've gone for a barracks into a command center, and your opponent doesn't even have a natural. So, like if you would have actually ran SV to his base and went, okay, well my expansion, because let me say this just to make this make sense, a barracks is the same cost as a gateway. A supply depot is the same cost as a pylon. A command center is the same cost as a nexus. They all share the same cost, pretty much. It changes a little bit once you get to the tech buildings, but for now, you can go, well, an SCV and a probe mine the same amounts of minerals, and he's built the same amount of buildings that I have, so I know where all of his buildings are. However, if you scouted his base and you saw no natural, and then you went into his main base and you saw a pylon and nothing, you'd be like, okay, well, I've already spent like 600 minerals on buildings, and where are yours? You've spent 100, so that would be the perfect time to like just by default be like, maybe I should just make like a bunker, because this guy, this dude is like, he's not at his base, so the only other option is he's most likely proxying me. That's why that, and again, that's all you need to do. Just that one SCV scout, get an initial read like that, and then you're done, and then you don't have to ever scout again. It just allows you to know, like, you know, should I be a little bit more defensive here, or am I okay to just make units and as normal? So, in this build for you as well, I think this is a. I'm gonna pause it one more time. This is something that is huge. This is something that every single player will struggle with. That is newer, like that is you know, on the earlier leagues in the game, is resource allocation. And right now, in terms of your build, we have reactored marines and SCVs and supply depots. That is the only thing you can do so far. You are making a factory, but what's happening though is your build is 100% mineral up to this point, and you have 4 out of 17 SCVs on gas, and you have a undersaturated mineral line in 13 out of 16.
Okay.
So if your plan is to go for a lot of mineral-based units, like for instance, let's just say hypothetically you lift this off and start going Hellions or something as well. Like it just needs to be more of a mineral priority, because your gas in the bank is going to start ramping up so high so fast. The only reason why you want to explode your gas a little bit is if you start doing something like, you know, as soon as you're like, if your plan with this factory is to go for siege tanks, then that would make more sense. That'd be fine. But if it's to go for,
in this case, mines.
Okay, yeah. So that's also a very gas cheap unit. That is another reason why I would say definitely prioritize the minerals again, because your gas is going to be like at 300, 400, 500, and your minerals are going to be struggling to be anywhere, as you're going to spend it every time you get it, because you have less than you should with this kind of a build.
Okay.
All right, and I'm going to pause it one more time. There's a lot of things that are like, I'll just say this. Your build is definitely struggling with the mineral department, even more, because we also just did a SCV transfer, and you don't actually want to do it this way, because the main reason is because ideally you want 16 per patch, and if you do the trade-off, which is, how about I rally a command center to my natural, or how about I just send like a quick like 8 or 9 SCVs to my natural, which one's better? Rallying your command center to your natural is better, because you actually maintain mining. Like every second that is earlier in the game, mining is more impactful than every second that is later. Like the setup is what creates your position in the game, like heavily. So when you transfer SCVs like this, all that's happening is you're still getting the same result, which is you're losing mining time one way or the other, but you're losing so much more right now when it's more impactful, and it slows your build down again even more, basically. It'd be more worth it if you actually just rallied SCVs, because the logic you always, like in the back of your mind with StarCraft efficiency, what you should think of is you should say to yourself, what can I do to make sure I have enough money to constantly upkeep what I already have, and then I can eventually add more on after that. And doing something like just rallying your command center when your main is fully saturated, so you rally your command center to the natural, so now every new SCV spawns and goes to the natural, that is not really going to hiccup your economy very much at all. It's just going to keep slowly increasing it. Whereas this transfer, it really does like a massive hiccup in the middle of your early game. So then your money just, you know, gets stuck out.
Okay.
All right, and now we have 4 zealots. This is when, if you scouted like a bunker, like just seeing nothing was at his base, a bunker would have been perfect. And then if you had a bunker, let's say on the low ground, and you could have let's just say hypothetically you could have repaired it. This could help a lot. You could have 4 Marines getting repaired in a bunker, and then you might be able to actually kill this. This is a lot of zealots though, so you would have actually needed to pull SCVs to repair that, which if you follow the logic I just said a minute ago, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Okay.
So instead, what should happen is you actually would have just lifted off your command center like you just did. Immediately bring this command center back to your main base. Don't just let it sit there, and land it in your main behind the wall, and start making SCVs again. And like now you're gonna have 2 command centers making SCVs for your main, just so you do not stop SCV production.
Okay.
And then you can also use your mules and shit, which is gonna help you have money for this timing. And then the other thing is immediately, because you know, like seeing 4 zealots and then seeing another 4 zealots, this also should tell you this is a proxy 4 gate, because he's making 4 zealots at a time. So if you look at just like the amounts of his units, each time they come at you, you can tell how many gateways he has. You should also know that if it's a 4 gateway, or if you know it's 4 gateways because of the amount of zealots, this also does not have gas. This build should not have gas, so it's just zealots. So a perfect way to respond to this would be pull like probably 9 SCVs off your mineral line. And the idea you want to have is you want to have about 3 SCVs repairing each building the whole time. Because only 2 zealots can fit on a reactor, and only 2 zealots can fit on a depot, because it's not enough surface area to have more than that. And only about 3 zealots could fit on the factory. And the reactor and the depot will get repaired faster than they die, because 3 SCVs can repair faster than 2 zealots can kill it, basically. Like, so you're gonna keep it healthy pretty forever, basically. And then the factory will probably, if he focuses it with zealots, so even if he like actually has like the reactor and the 1 depot zealot, focus the factory too. So if he has as many zealots as he can, hit the factory. With only 3 SCVs, your factory will slowly start to die. But I mean, you have 9 SCVs there anyways, so you could actually just, if your factory was like 25% health or like 40% health or something, you could be like, let's just heavily repair this factory for a sec, and now we're good again. Meanwhile, your Marines are just pounding zealots the whole time behind the wall. So so you'd be fine with that. But repairing is mandatory. If you don't repair, you'll die right now.
Okay, which is basically what happens. I play around a little more, but yeah, I think that's what happens right here.
Yeah. So because again, if you repair though, your wall just lives forever, and then he just loses zealots after zealot after zealot. So just pausing it really quick. This is another trap that like every single StarCraft player falls into, and it is getting in the rhythm of making things while you're dealing with things. So one of the things that you need to do for sure is I don't know. It seems like you're not using control groups, and one thing that'll make your life. Or go ahead. You were gonna say something.
I use 2 control groups, one for command centers and one for barracks.
Okay.
And I should probably add a 3rd and a 4th at some point.
Honestly, I would say have 1 production control group and have 1 command center control group. So all CCs on 1 and all, because what you can do with the production is it will always go in this order: barracks, then factory, then starport. So if you want to make a Marine, you can go. We'll say your barracks is on 1. Okay. You can go 1A. And that will go 1, select my barracks and everything else, and make a Marine. And now if you're like, you know what, no, I want to make a Hellion. You can go 1 tab D. Because if you hit tab once, it now goes to the subgroup of all factories. And if you hit tab again, it goes to the subgroup of all starports. And then if you hit tab again, it'll go back to the barracks. Or what you can do is you can go like, let's say your command centers are on 2. You can go 2-1. And if every time you reset the control group, it goes always back to barracks. So there's 2 ways to do it like this, and it is like it's very important because you can actually macro without looking at it and without physically clicking it. So
right.
But I see like in this game specifically, I see you have no control groups, which is the only reason why I'm saying that.
Yeah.
And then, so I think one of the biggest challenges for you, honestly, is going to just be your ideal opener. Because I feel like if we really discuss like I feel like we've discussed as much theory as probably we should just for now, because I feel like it's just going to get more and more and more confusing. And I think one of the best things that's going to help you is if like we just really, before this lesson's over, I will make you like a guide, like a quick build that'll just be like, follow this. You can literally give me a playstyle that you're like, I like playing that way, and I will give you a fucking build that will be like, wow, this actually is amazing. It's so it makes sense with the resource allocation, and your supply would just like crush things like this. I do like the attempt of a bunker. Obviously, it is a bit late, but the attempt is there.
Right. Yeah, for some reason he seems to want to hit my production instead of my SCVs, but
yeah,
which helped me survive, I think, a few more minutes longer.
For sure. So it's like the big problem I'm seeing here, one of the things that I'm seeing that could definitely help you get out of situations like this is like it's like, for instance, like your economy, like the command center sat and the natural forever. It sat there until this guy actually rotated into stalkers eventually, which means he started with no gas and then he eventually took a gas and now started making stalkers, and those stalkers actually killed that command center. So and if it landed in your main like we talked about earlier and you were making SCVs, right now you could probably have like 35 to 40. And then as soon as you retake control of your natural, let's just say it's through widow mines and bio, you could actually plant all your widow mines in front of your natural in the choke point, and then you could actually rotate a fully saturated mineral line's worth of SCVs to your natural right when it comes back to take it, and now you'd be at 2 base versus 1 base. So definitely want to make sure you're upkeeping that production, upkeeping that macro, which is, again, it's like everybody's problem in this game. Like most people just do not, they don't really fully respect the economy power of macro, like just making workers the whole time, especially while you're being all in.
Right.
But yeah, like there's definitely a few things that could have happened in this game that could have made this a lot easier for you. Biggest one, it would be just repairing your wall in the first place. It would have made this problem go away really fast.
Yeah. I think let's switch. Probably we should go ahead and switch into the next game. I think you're going to see another few minutes of me thinking I've got life, but I don't.
Yeah.
I've got too much stuff at this point.
Yeah. I feel like exactly. Well, the problem is for sure just it goes basically off what I just said a second ago, which is you're just not making economy.
Yeah.
So that this problem, like this situation you're in, is never going to end.
Yeah.
Until you literally run out of money in your main. So yeah, we can switch replays. It's all good. Because yeah, if your money never goes up, you're slowly losing SCVs over time, and then yeah, now you are dead because you have 2 workers, 1 worker. I'm gonna leave the replay.
Yeah.
All right. But it's there. It's still like, even though you already are dead, okay, it's still relevant to talk about shit that is happening in that game. Like, for instance, like that logical statement of saying, if you never make economy and if you never actually increase your production while this is happening, this situation will never stop happening and you will be contained forever. That is so important to know that. Because, again, a lot of people do get caught up in the moment where they're like, I'm being attacked. I'm being attacked. I'm being attacked. I have to deal with this. And they just fucking stop macroing. And if you just macro, it's so easy. Which is also why like I said in the start of this lesson, if you actually want to possibly take a look at mech, which is what we do in Bronze GM, it's basically like face roll micro. Like you don't actually have to be there. The units kind of just micro themselves. And it teaches you to focus only on macro. Bio kind of needs to be there, unfortunately. So it's harder.
Okay.
All right, so just go ahead and load up another replay, and we'll take a look at it. And then after this one, to honestly give you the best value coaching lesson here, if the next game we look at looks similar to the first game, which is totally fine, I think we should take this lesson in a way where I will take you into a game and I will give you a build for whatever the fuck composition you want to go for, and we'll talk about it, how it makes sense, and the ways that you should execute it, basically.
Okay. Okay. For the other two, either one's dealing with the Protoss Death Ball. I actually did try to do Thor's, and they got slaughtered by the Protoss carriers.
Sure.
Or a Cannon Rush. I suspect the Cannon Rush one will be more helpful for me right now.
Sure.
So
And
let's do that one.
I guarantee if I don't even have to look at the Thor replay, and I guarantee I could probably help you. Really quickly, they'll promote me to lobby host, and I'll say my thoughts on that. But
Okay.
I bet this is one of two things probably happened when you fought a carrier. Number one, you probably didn't have Thors and high impact payload, or number two, your army supplies were vastly different. Like it.
Yeah, his was probably about 20% higher, mostly because we were both maxed out on workers, but he had a lot less workers.
Okay, yeah. And then upgrades do kind of have a role to play there, but if your Thors are not high impact payload, and which means that they're shooting the missiles instead of shooting single target direct shots, that's going to change the power of a Thor versus a carrier heavily.
Okay.
Like high impact payload is required to fucking just murder carriers, and if it's not on, your carriers are going to take forever to kill carriers. Or I mean, your Thors would take forever to kill carriers. Okay, so opening up the same way. We have a gas going down. Are you going to be doing that? Is your idea this game so far to do kind of the same thing where you go Widow Mines and Bio?
Yeah, that's kind of the idea right now.
That's your shit, right? That's your jam, Widow Mine Bio.
No, it's more of it's something I fell into by accident because I did a challenge to do a mono battle, and I went pure Widow Mines and won 8 out of 10.
Okay.
But I think that was more fool's gold.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask you a question, and this is gonna give me a lot of answers.
Yeah.
Are you in love with Bio, or do you not mind if you play a different style?
I don't mind playing a different style. If I do mech, I want the option of some kind of harass that I can automate.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, I got a mech build for you. That's perfect. After this game, we'll talk about it. Okay, so this dude. Okay. Let me just throw this out there. This dude, defensively, I love that you scouted, by the way. That is so good. I'm very happy you did this. You just confirmed, okay, I have because again, we're comparing, right? You go, okay, I have a depot, I have a barracks, I have a command center. I'm scouting into his base. I see a guy. You didn't scout all the way in, or you did? I'm just kidding. You did. You see he's got a forge, a gateway, and he's got 2 cannons on his
And
mineral
nothing
line.
else.
Yeah. So this, to me, I would look at this and go, yeah, okay, he's going defensive cannons. And if you, let's just say hypothetically, you just felt super good about it and you didn't look at the minimap and you were like, yeah, I'm good. I would be okay with the fact that you felt good about this. And if for whatever reason you didn't notice because you do see them with your SCV that spotted them in your natural. If you didn't spot these cannons and they finish and they kill your SCV building the command center and then your command center gets canceled because of that, you're still ahead. If you just immediately react by making another command center in your base, in your main or something, or maybe even 2 command centers at once at this point, and then going into a factory to go for a siege tank instead of a Widow Mine, just because he's going cannons. Because this dude's economy, he's showing you already, his economy sucks. Because he's got 0 allocation to a natural. And in StarCraft, it is, if you ever wonder why better players beat players that are not as good as them, it's always because of the economy. Every time. So this dude is putting himself in a situation where he just has no economy. And now you're going to have to cancel this command center. There's no way it goes up because there's no way an SCV now finishes this. Which is, I don't mind that you canceled it. That's totally fine. But now what's happening is now you're making mass barracks. And this is an overreaction. And the only reason why I say this is an overreaction is because all you have to do, I'm actually gonna do a little bit of critical thinking for you here right now. If I were to ask you what is the most important thing, and if you get it wrong, by all means, it's totally fine. I'll help you in a minute. But I want you to just think about it. What would be your main goal right now and how to deal with this. Just walk me through what you think is the most important thing here.
My main goal is to get up a bunker that I can funnel Marines into that can outrange the cannons as they go up.
Okay. So I would say that would be a good idea if this cannon rush was happening really fast, and we're talking like he didn't cannon rush his main base and he didn't cannon rush your natural, and instead he first cannon rushed your base. Because then you would, the only way you would be able to get you know, your dudes up is if you were actually pulled SCVs, you killed cannons, you like stalled them out a little bit, made him keep having to rebuild them, and then at the same time you're building a bunker, and now he's got like 4 cannons going up at once, and you're like, for the love of God, I hope this bunker lives. That would make a lot of sense there if that was a situation. But this cannon rush is so delayed because of how he built them, and all you have to do right now is kill that probe and control high ground vision.
Okay.
And your 2 Marines that would be built right now would build fast, like they would build as fast as that pylon would. So he would have access to start making his first cannon as you have 2 Marines out, and 2 Marines can kill that probe if you just killed the probe at the same amount of time that he would build 1, maybe 2 cannons if he built them directly next to each other. And then if he started the cannons as you already have 2 Marines, you could make you could make Marines 3 and 4. And then have 4 Marines killing the cannons, and that would be plenty to kill those before they finish. You could kill the pylon, and you could unpower them before they finish. You could pull like 3 more SCVs just to be 100% sure that you're not gonna, you know, just in case you're worried about it. Like, you could crush this cannon rush with that 1 barracks you already have, basically, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So the bunker in the back of your base and the 2 extra racks are not necessary. The one thing that is really necessary, though, is as long as you keep making SCVs and make an orbital command, and also keep making, like, actually use the production on this barracks. So we can see at 234, that is exactly when your reactor finished. So the crucial thing to look at here is how many seconds go by before you start a Marine. And then with any excess money, because you just canceled your natural, would be make some more command centers, because you still do want to expand, and there's no way this guy can attack you anyways, because you just confirmed he's only got a forge, really, and that 1 gate in his main is so far away, and he also doesn't have gas. So there's nothing really to be afraid of other than the cannon, and if you just kill that probe, cannon rush is over. So 234.
Okay.
Let's see how many seconds go by before you make a Marine.
I think you get a good 15, but we'll see.
Yeah, so at 252, you start a Marine. So that's definitely you're thinking about it the wrong way, I feel like. This again, StarCraft 2 is a fucking super complex game. There sometimes I would say, yeah, prioritizing a bunker is actually good. I mean, always prioritizing your production is always the most important thing. But you have the idea in your mind that you're like bunker, 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 bunker. And in this particular situation, it's not appropriate, only because his cannon rush is about a full minute later than it would be otherwise, if he just didn't build these other cannons. And this dude's not even prioritizing his cannons either. He's like delayed that forever too. So if your Marines were built right away, you would have actually killed the probe as it tried to come back up the ramp, and you could have had like, this could have been Marines 3 and 4 popping out right now, and you already would have had 1 and 2 standing there, and the probe would have died before it even built a single cannon.
Okay.
And then the bunker, the other bunker, the 2 extra racks don't even need to be there. And the reason why that this is really screwing you over is because if you look at the Harvester tab, you both have 17. And he's actually mining more than you because you have 3 on gas. And he's got a full 17, or he's got all of his other probes other than the 2 that are proxied. He's like proxying a Nexus. And he's got the 1 cannon rushing probe. He has 15 on mineral line, you only have 13, so he's actually beating you in terms of just mineral income, and he's actually expanding now. So he actually is getting a lead in this game. Yo, Zuka, thank you very much for the raid, dude. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, and then that's that situation where it's just it was just too much DPS for the bunker, and
yeah,
there are a couple ways, like, you know, obviously, like this is kind of the situation where if I explain this now, this is like already a bad spot to be in, so you don't want to be in the spot at all in the first place. But hypothetically, just giving you an idea here about if a situation does arise that's like this. Number one, most important thing to have done here would have been to have lowered your depot and just right-clicked your barracks on the bunker. Because you actually had a Marine sitting on the south side of the bunker, and it just got owned by itself, and it could have been extra DPS inside the bunker. So you could have had more Marines having more DPS. That is one way to deal with it. Another way to deal with it would have been you could actually have clicked on the bunker itself, and you could have focus fired. And you could have actually killed that cannon that Marine below the depot almost killed by itself.
Right. Okay.
And then you could have focus fired the other cannon, because all that would have needed to happen is you killed one cannon, and then your bunker would have kind of like stayed steady with its health, and you killed two cannons, and your bunker would have actually started going back up in health rather than going down, because of it's just we're comparing DPS to repair per second.
Right.
And just the reason, like, you know, having all these cannons that, like, one of them's about to die, the other one's like half health, one of them's got no shields. It's just too much split DPS from your Marines that all the cannons stayed alive the whole time. So he had 100% DPS uptime, and yeah, your bunker fell because of that. And then now at this point, you're still not dead yet. I mean, it's not a good position to be in now, but the proper response now to this would have been, again, we're talking about your production choice. Instead of going for multiple barracks and Marauder now, it would have been actually ideal if you were going to make more production to break the cannon contain. Just make a factory and make a tank.
Yeah.
And then that's just easy mode, because it has 13 range, cannons only have 7. And so you can easily outrange it, and then you just, you know, kill a cannon, siege your tank, kill a cannon, unsiege it, move forward, siege up, kill a cannon. You just keep doing this, and then while you're behind it, while you're going for like SCVs and command centers and stuff, you're going to be able to explode an economy onto your natural once you retake it. And that, again, that is, if you follow like the economy rules of StarCraft, that's what's going to actually take you to like, wow, I'm gold, and now I'm plat, and now I'm just like advancing so fast, because it takes you out of these situations where you can say things like this is, I'm going to show you the example. Okay, this is really important. Let's stare at your command center, and let's look at how much missed time you have on SCV production. We'll go back to the beginning. We'll do like really fast speed. So it's good. Well, I'll stop it when the first SCV is not being built. So that was like a 1 second supply block, but who cares? That's fine. You made the depot, so it's all good. Right now at 103 or 104 rather. So there's no depot, no SCV being made yet at 104.
Okay.
And now so remember that, and now we'll see how much time goes by before another SCV gets made. Or the orbital even. So the orbital could be started too right now. Or, okay, like at 138, there was another SCV getting made. So that was 34 seconds of no production off the command center for that round. And then you have 2 SCVs get made. And now your next one is at 202. So I'm going to write it down. It's just 34 is how many seconds have gone by with no SCV production up to this point. And now at 202, it starts again. And I think this one goes forever now.
Yeah, this is kind of the panic mode.
You did make the orbital though, so I'm gonna subtract 25 seconds off of. So we started at 202. 25 seconds get removed off of whatever we come to, because the orbital was made, and that's a 25-second upgrade, and it's important as fuck. But it becomes like this tunnel vision mindset, where you just focus on what you see in front of you, and you're not focusing about what's going to happen in 5 minutes from now or so. And the economy is what's going to make, like, basically, if you made the economy during things like this, and you respected it a lot, and you were like, yeah, okay, I know I need to up my worker count, because my plan 5 minutes from now, after I deal with all this aggression, is to retake my expansion, and if I follow this rule diligently, I will fully saturate it right away, because I can transfer shitloads of SCVs to it, and we're good to go. And I can take my third and stuff like that. But if you look in 5 minutes from now, if you go, well, I haven't thought about economy for the last 5 minutes, and now we're going to start doing economy again. Situations like this last longer, so it's not actually 5 minutes. It's more like the game's just going to probably end in this situation now. It could be 12 minutes of this. It could be 14 minutes of this until you eventually die.
Yeah.
And it's just really the problem that's like this is the way I'm gonna hopefully, if I haven't yet, hopefully this thought process, this last little explanation is gonna convince you. I could help you break down 100 problems in this game, where I could say things like, oh, if you if you put if you unloaded your bunker right now and you put your marauders on the high ground, like on the top of your base, you could actually snipe those cannons out of range of the other cannon, and you could prevent him from being built. And then that's going to create a doorway for you to go behind where he is, and you could have marauders on the north side of that, the north east side of that pylon, kind of where the probe is, and you could shoot that pylon and kill it and underpower that cannon. And then you could go down and do the same thing to the other pylon out of range of the other cannon, and you can go down and do the other thing to that pylon, and maybe run down a marauder on the ramp because it wouldn't die, because only one cannon would be able to shoot it, and you could actually get down below on the low ground and get vision of the high ground and kill the other pylon. You could underpower all these cannons. Like I could give you all these like little tips of micro things,
right?
And it's just not gonna like. And I could tell you so many other ways to fix so many other little problems, but if you just fix the economy problem, it's going to make every other problem just disappear anyways, because suddenly you're going to be like, it would be things like where you just prevent these problems from happening in the first place. Because, for instance, if you respect the economy and respect the production, things like, oh, he tried to run a probe in my base and it just died. And now also he's trying to go for, let's say, void rays as a follow-up to the cannon rush, but he's only got 48 supply and I have 120. And you're like, wow, I just have a lot more than he does. That's the kind of shit that happens if you just respect the macro. So the game doesn't need to be complicated at all if we just focus on your macro. But again, just to really drill that point in, we're still going to look at until the next time you make an SCV. And we have the game timer still going pretty fast, so we can catch it when it happens.
Yeah, it may not happen.
Yeah, it's like there's just right now there's 6 SCVs mining minerals, or 5 now, 4. There you go. Okay, so your next SCV got built at 7 minutes and 58 seconds. So from 2:02 to 7:58, the only thing this command center did was it made an orbital command.
Right.
That's like almost 5.5 minutes of just no production on your command center for the first 8 minutes of the game, which is massive. So things like that are why you're losing. That is going to screw you every time. So honestly, I mean, we can times 8 this game just until it's over. It'll only take like probably 1 more minute because it'll go pretty fast. But you're just playing this game now from a situation where best way to explain it in a relevant term that'll make a lot of sense is imagine if your Protoss opponent started with 12 probes and you started with 4 SCVs. That's kind of the situation you're putting yourself into, where you're starting at a handicap. And it's easy for Protoss to make probes behind this because he's the one with attention in your base, because his cannons are just automatically going to shoot shit whenever you go in range of it. So he's like, he can be AFK. He can be like, I'll make 3 cannons. Okay, now look at my base and I'll make a Nexus. Nice kill on his main base, by the way, but...
I thought I was doing something there, but
yeah.
He'd engined another base.
Yeah,
so.
this is the misleading situations where when you get put in these situations where you're like, you have to like look at StarCraft 2 as like, instead of a problem where it's like, what is 2 plus 2? You have to be like, okay, what's the square root of 555? Multiply that by 17 and then divide that by 10. And then we'll do the square root of that again. And you're like, okay, everything is super fucking complicated. And we're going to figure out every potential like way to, solve every problem coming at us and do it like 300 IQ fucking thought process here. It doesn't have to be that technical at all. It's just, did you make workers? Yeah, okay, you're probably gonna win the game then. Like, I'm not even kidding, dude. It literally is like that until you get to like diamond level. Like it's so, the hardest thing to learn when you're low level, when you're in the lower leagues, is don't freak out. Do not get tunnel visioned on what you're dealing with. I know, it always seems scary to everybody. Like, oh my fucking god, there's a void ray. I have a void ray flying around my main base and he's killing a depot, and then you just like stop everything and like, I need to kill that void ray, or things like that. And it's as long as you just macro during the process and your opponent is instead the guy who's like, I'm going to attack this guy with a Void Ray and I'm just going to tunnel vision that and I'm not going to macro while I do this. And then by the time my Void Ray does its damage, I'm going to have 2,000 minerals in my bank. Like if that's the kind of person you're going to fight against often in Silver League. And if you just macro during it, again, you're going to be the guy who's like, you have a Void Ray, you killed 3 depots. And I made units I made more depots and I made more units in the process. I eventually killed your Void Ray. But I kept making units the whole time, so I kept my money spent and while kept generating it as well. And now the supply for you is, again, like it's like 36, and for me it's 90. And you're like, all right. Because that is literally what happens in like every single game we play in low leagues in Bronze GM. And that series that I made, it's just, I just win the game with a move supply leads because we macro. All right, so I left that game. I want you to come out of that game and then in the group here, make me the party leader, and I am going to create a build for you that it is going to be similar to what Bronze GM is, but it's going to give you the potential to harass your opponent, because I know that StarCraft 2 is a video game and you like to have fun while you play it, so it doesn't have to be like you have to follow this guide exactly. You can I can try and fine tune it for something you like.
Okay, so for group, is that in custom?
Just right click my portrait in top right and you can just make me party leader. Okay. There you go, perfect. And then I will make a game. And then when this game is over, save this replay. And then just call it whatever you want, but just make sure you save it so that you can use this as a guide. And I will give you a tip on how to follow it like legit and not just assume you're following it. Because that's also another,
okay.
That is a problem a lot of people have, is they go, okay, ViBE, I saw Cyril go Corruptors against Carriers one time, and then I did it, and I got fucking owned, but he won. What's the difference, dude? And you're like, all right, it's probably a lot of things, like, again, macro. All right, so just, there should be a button on your screen for accepting, and then
okay,
we'll get this game going. Here we go, and then I'll make you a referee. Where the hell is... There it is. And then... Protoss. Okay. So, this build is going to basically be... it's going to be very similar to what I do in BDGM. So, if you want like more just content to consume, it's free as well, by the way. I highly recommend you just go to my YouTube channel. It's linked on my stream. Or you can it's literally just go to youtube.com/ViBE, the same ID I use for my other stuff. And it's just my Terran Bronze GM guide. It's basically just teaching people, like it's like hours and hours if you have the time of teaching you, like these should be your habits you should develop for yourself, and these should be the things that you're doing, the things that you're focusing on, your priorities, stuff like that.
Yeah, I know. My 10-year-old is actually watching it, and he was proud that he won his first 4 games a few days ago.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's really good. It's it basically teaches you things like, for instance, all those problems you just had last game and the first game with the Zealots, those would never have existed if you just macroed.
Yeah.
And you like it's 2 parts. It's because macro has 2 sides to it. It's like it's a 2-sided coin basically. One side is basically spending your money, which is what everybody understands. Everyone's like, I kept my money below 300, I macroed. And you're like, okay, that's part of it, but that's not all of it. The other part of macro is generation of your money. So it's not hard to spend your money when you only have 17 workers mining minerals, or 12 or 10. But if you have 50 or 70 or 80, it's then a lot harder to spend your money. And if you can still spend it then, you're macroing like a boss. And then so that's, yeah, it's generation and expenses, it's the spending of the money. All right, so we're scouting him. I will make a command center as well. And let's just pretend, I'll just pretend that this is a real person, like, oh god, he doesn't have stuff. Uh-oh, we'll scout all the way into his base. And now we can be like, okay, we can respond to this with a bunker. Just to be safe. And you're like, oh, never mind, just kidding. There's a couple of gates, but he's not expanding. I'll just make a bunker just to make a bunker, just to make your life easy. Because if your build is gonna be if it's not gonna make a Reaper, making a bunker is fine. But again, the big one though is it's just like, because a lot of people also obsess over an actual build order, and the build order itself is not the most impactful thing as long as your build just stays efficient. And efficiency is just some simple things as, are you supply blocking? Are you constantly making SCVs? Are you making production that you can afford but not over making production? Stuff like that. And the general rule of production that you want to kind of follow over time is going to be, don't make more production. Don't make so much production that you have to stop doing other things just to maintain it. So you make enough production where it spends most of your money, but yet your money still goes up, so you can still expand and you can still take more bases. You can still have a follow-up to your current, you know, game plan, basically. So my priorities right now are, I'm constantly rotating my control groups. I'm looking at my 4 and my 5, or whatever you want to put them as, my SCVs out of my command centers, and I'm looking at my factories, and I'm just making sure I'm still building units the whole time. And as I build units, and I know production is going, I look at my money and I go, do I have enough to add more, or should I wait? And so far, I would say waiting is still okay because we're still spending most of it, but it is getting to that point where it's starting to get a little higher. So now we could do something like, okay, let's maybe like throw down another command center, because we're playing defensive anyways for the moment.
Right.
And then now my gas is starting to get a little bit higher, so now I can like add in another factory while maintaining my production on my current factory. So again, maintaining is the #1 thing we want to do. We definitely don't want to. I don't want to be like, well, I'm going to stop building on my factory for 30 seconds so I can build 2 more factories and then go back to building on my factory that was idle. We want to just add more shit as we need to, for sure. I can add another factory because, again, our money is getting higher and higher. And then now, I would say we have a good number of tanks. Let's start going into some Hellions, because you said you want to do harassment, which is totally fine. And we're going to go Hellion Thor at this point, and we're going to actually use the Hellions to attack his base.
Okay.
And all we're going to do with Hellions is we're going to try and get into his mineral lines and stuff and just focus on like wiping out workers to give us bigger and bigger leads. We can make an orbital command off of that base. And now we see we have 2 fully saturated mineral lines. And we're still pumping. Like, add-ons are being made. We can make a second factory right now. Okay, and our third command center is done. Let's go ahead and like take it over to our third base. And now we're going into Thor's with our armory finishing, because armory is required to make a Thor. And now we can take our boys, basically our Hellions, and just go like this. Just grab Hellions and go, all right, let's see what we can do. What can I kill, basically? And meanwhile, we're still making SCVs. I'm still going like 4, 5, 4, 5, and I'm looking at like all my command centers are the same group, and I'm looking at the bottom middle control group where I can see the white boxes inside the CCs. So I'm just making sure there's always like 1 or 2 white boxes in there every time. Every time I look at it, and I'm cycling it like right now, even while I'm moving out with these Hellions. I'm going 4, 5, Hellions, 4, 5, Hellions, 4, 5. I need 2 Hellions. To make 2 Hellions again, I need to make 2 Thors. Look at my SCVs, make 3 SCVs. Go back to my Hellions. Just maintaining your production. And then we can make more SCVs. Or, make more depots, because we're going to block in a second. And then we're like, oh, there's his army. Okay, let's run around him. We don't want to fight his army. Let's just try and go this way and go down. Because if this dude goes and attacks our base anyways, if we're macroing, we are going to crush his ass. So it's not even scary. And then we go into his main, and we're like, hey, what's up, sentries? How you doing? Okay. And go into his base, and we're still going 4-5, make SCVs, make Hellions, make Thors. And now we're just wiping out probes. And look, he's attacking us. And because we macroed, we don't give a shit. We're just like, yep. It doesn't matter to us, because this dude's macro is not as good as ours was throughout this game. And now we have a lot of money, we can be like, let's make 4 more factories. As long as you're maintaining production, it's okay to do things like that.
Okay.
And we just wiped out, like if you look at the probe count right now to SCV count, I guarantee you're going to see something that looks like, we right now have 73, and the Protoss has probably 12 or like 14. That would be my guess.
Right.
So we know that if I am, you know, if I'm just chilling here on my Thor Hellion, and I just fucked this guy up with that nice Hellion attack while I was still macroing at the same time, I now have the situation where I could be like, I could actually probably just move out with this army and kill him right now. Because again, his supply as well is probably something around like 40 to 50, and we have 146. Because we can tell this because this dude has no money. And then now, if you mouse over top right on your supply, you can see there's a number. There's 2 numbers. There's like a Marine number, and there's an SCV number. That just represents how many workers in supply you have and how much army supply you have. So right now I know I have 80 SCVs to 72 army supply. And
Wait, where's that number that tells you what your SCVs are at?
it's in like you see it, like you might not see it because you're in the game, or you're a referee of the game is what I meant to say. But in top right, you know how you have a mineral, you have a gas, and then you have a supply like X out of X.
Okay.
If you just mouse over the supply, so it says 155 out of 165. If I mouse over that, it actually pops up a new window that tells me exactly how many SCVs I have in total and how much army supply I have in total.
Okay. Yeah, I always heard people talking about having so many SCVs at various time periods.
Yeah.
Wondering how in the world you keep
So
track of,
yeah,
you know.
because I'm not actually sitting there adding up like, okay, 32 plus 16 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 14. Like, I'm not doing that. I just mouse over and I'm like, yep, cool. We have we know where we're at. But again, here is something to say though. If I ask you a question, how many workers are there per base? Like fully saturated, double gas included.
22.
Exactly. It's perfect. So you don't have to be exact, but you can kind of guesstimate your opponent's worker count if you just think about how many bases he has. Which is why earlier when I was kind of quoting the SCV counts for my opponent, he didn't have a natural. And I killed SCVs in his main, or I killed probes in his main, so I could kind of guesstimate, okay, yeah. I killed like from the main I probably killed like 14 or 15 probes. He was still making some probes as I killed them. Which is why if I killed like, let's say 15 and he had 22, and then he was making probes the whole time too, he's probably back up to like 14 again or some shit like that. So where that kind of, again, it doesn't have to be exact, but you have like a general idea of where it's at.
Right, right.
And then now, game's over, we just go kill him. And we, you know, at this point, we're still making command centers. We can still, like, see how my third base right now is 32? I can just rip off half that mineral line, have it fully saturated, and now have a new fully saturated fourth base. So this is why I'm saying things like just making SCVs and making sure you're still running like this is so amazing. And literally, dude, that could be your build right there.
Okay.
You could just go Hellion, Thor, like open up with tanks, and then make your base kind of the way we did, where we first depots, wall up the main ramp. Second depots, do a line against the natural. This is really important because it makes your tanks like 5 times more valuable. It increases the amount of shots they'll get by a lot because it has to break through a wall first. And then you just make like 2 or 3 tanks, and then just go Hellion Thor, Hellion Thor, Hellion Thor. And then your other rule of thumb is going to be make 3 orbital commands, so you have a nice, good economy to work with lots of mules. And then every command center you make for another expansion after your 3 orbitals will become planetary, 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 planetary. And we'll be talking like you'll have 6, 7 bases in a game that is like 15 minutes long. And all the expansions around the first 3 are going to be planetaries everywhere. And then you want to, and then your factory count, okay? Your factory count is going to, you're not going to build shitloads of factories all at once. You're just going to kind of like ramp up your factories as you go. But your factory count is going to eventually become some number around like 16 when you have, like if you max out on 8 factories, okay? Once you're maxed and your money gets really high and you develop a large bank, you can then be like, all right, let's add on 8 more factories. And that way, if your army dies, you can replace it really fast because you're going to have large banks at this point to work with. Instead of having to be like, wait, give me like 4 minutes to rebuild all my units out of 7 factories or some shit like that. And then last thing is your ratio of reactor to tech lab on your factories. You want it to be like 2/3 tech lab, 1/3 reactor. So
Okay.
yeah, just 6 out of 16 factories probably have something along the lines of like 11. Doesn't have to be perfect, but have like maybe 11 tech labs and like 5 reactors. That way you can have a decent Hellion number, but you're gonna have majority of your army will be Thors and things like that.
Okay. Well,
Now.
I think I'll go play with that.
Now, okay? Now, one more thing. I'm going to give you the tools to break this down and actually utilize it as well as you can.
Okay.
You're okay right there? Was so unenthusiastic. You're like, God damn it.
No, I'm curious.
All right, leave that game, and then we're going to go into the replay.
Okay.
All right, I actually got an achievement for that. I have to wait for the
Oh,
achievement.
fantastic.
It's like medium AI replay. Congratulations.
Okay. Party leader wants to watch a replay.
Yep, just hit accept. And then now what you can do this on like a Google Doc, you can do this on Notepad, whatever you want. I'll usually just use a Notepad because it's just easy. But what you're gonna do now is you're gonna do this. You can look at my I'll have this on a VOD too, so you can watch the YouTube video and see me do it. You can also look at my stream if you want to right now. But what we'll do is we'll go like this. We'll say 1 minute, or we'll go like this. We'll say my build vibes build, and then we'll go 1 minute supply worker, and we'll copy pasta this shit like this. So we'll go there with it, and then we'll copy paste it again, and we'll hit enter, paste, enter, paste, enter, paste, enter, paste, enter, paste, enter, paste, blah blah blah. And we want to get 10 of them. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now you just go through it really quickly, and you change the minutes. Oops. And then, so this doesn't take that long to set up, but this is going to actually give you a real read on what's happening in the game. Really, really, really hard. And now all you do at this point is you now fill in the numbers, okay? So at 1 minute, and you just you can control the replay and be like, okay, go exactly to 1 minute. And this is what's gonna happen here is you're gonna break the replay down in segments. That's gonna tell you where you're having problems. What the fuck did I just do?
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Hold on, sorry. Okay, now income. So we have, at 1 minute, I have 17 supply and 16 harvesters, which means that's fine. It's 1 more harvesters in the command center, but we can go, supply is 17, worker count is 16, and this is your build, okay? And then you can fill in my build too, so you could be like, same thing here, 16, I'll make this a little bit bigger, and 17, and then you go to 2 minutes. So I guess I won't do these ones. I'll just fill in the vibes build. Your build would be your game. 2 minutes. So 2 minutes, I have 19 and 20. So supply is 20. And worker count is at 19. I can't type. This big fat microphone's in my face. It's hard to see the keyboard when I'm hitting 9s and shit. And then go to 3 minutes. And we literally do this all the way to 10 minutes. So you just quickly bounce to each section. And you go, okay, 3 minutes. I have 23 and 25. So 25 supply, followed by 23 workers, 4 minutes. And then what you do, and again, you'll see discrepancies. Like maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's all kind of the same. Like maybe it's only like one difference here, like one worker difference here and there. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that's easy. I just didn't make a worker for 4 seconds at 142, and it delayed it a little bit longer, so that's why he's a little bit ahead right now. But what this is going to do, the big thing this is going to do, is it's going to tell you there will be times around, like, most people make mistakes around 4 minutes to 6 minutes, and you might be like, oh shit, okay, I didn't realize when he showed me this build the first time that he made a third command center so fast. I made my third command center after 3 factories, which is why at minute 6 I'm like 15 supply behind already, and even though nothing's happened. Like, that's the kind of things you're going to discover through doing build walkthrough like this. And you're going to also see things like where you'll be like at minute 5, maybe your supply is only at 47 and your worker count's at 35. And then at minute 6, which we'll go to right now. At minute 6, we're at 50 and 84. And 50. How did I lose workers? What? What? Am I crazy? What did I have at 5 minutes? I think I skipped 5 minutes is what it was. But
Okay.
Or no, I'm just kidding. I'm looking at it backwards. I just wrote it backwards is all. Never mind. I'm just kidding, dude. I was looking at supply as worker and worker as supply on the notepad. But you get my point. Sorry, I kind of made it a little fucking confusing at the end there.
Okay.
But just write down your supply numbers and your worker numbers, and then write down like have my build and then have your build, and you only have to do my build once. Like, this is a one-time thing for the ViBE build, and then your build can be put in every single game you play, where you're just trying to compare your numbers. And then once you get to a point where you're like, you know, like you're able to actually replicate the first 3 minutes of the game, you're good for the first 3 minutes, and now you should start working on the follow-up of that. Once you can replicate the first 4 minutes, the first 5 minutes, it just gets better and better and better. And yeah, I had it right. I just wrote it backwards. So it's minute 6. Let's just say instead of at 84 supply, you're only at 69, and instead of 50 workers, you're at 41. So you're like, okay, well, I'm actually at the same worker count at 6 minutes that ViBE was at 5 minutes. And again, that could be like, where did things go wrong? And it could be like the third base timing. What are you gonna say?
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So there's a way to benchmark
Exactly.
where either there was a good reason it fell apart, or whether there was a big lapse.
Yeah. So all you want to do for sure is just look at the numbers, and if your numbers are if you're like, okay, he's at 84 supply, I'm at 82, he's at 50 workers, I'm at 49, I would be like, thumbs up, dude, you're fucking crushing it. Like, if you're Silver League and you're able to pull that off, you're not going to be silver for very long. Like, you're going to definitely get promoted. But if you're like, okay, he's at 84 and I'm at 44, and he's at 50 workers and I'm only at 21, I'd be like, okay, well, what was the previous minute? And let's say I'm at 55 and 41, and your stats were like 21 and 19, or 21 and 17 or some shit, and you're like, okay, that's still off. Okay, go to the previous minute. Go to the minute where it actually matches up, and then stay within that next minute block where it's like, okay, this one matched and the next one didn't. What happened within that minute where things went wrong? And that's where you look at the replay and you go, okay, what did ViBE do between 2 and 3? Okay, that's what he did. And what did I do? Okay, I made fucking bunkers, like 3 bunkers, or what, things like that will change. That will be like, okay, well, now it's not so confusing where I have to be like, what the fuck happened in this game? I could actually break it down bit by bit by bit. So it makes things, and again, I would say the best way to do this is don't try to do the whole replay at once. Do it in steps where you do, like, if you're fucking up between 3 and 4, work on 3 and 4. Get that shit down. And then once you have that down, then worry about 5, 6, 7, 8. Do not worry about like minute 7 if minute 4 was fucked for you. because minute 7 is way fucked, and you're never gonna like that game is a bad example for minute 7 now. Only worry about the first minute that has a mistake. Fix that, and then work on the next game you play, and just keep building this up, and you will. I guarantee you will get promoted, and you will become better at StarCraft.
Sounds good.
All right, so that's the method, and fuck yeah, man, hell yeah. I if you said your kid is watching, I apologize for the language. I hope you don't mind, dude.
They're not watching yet,
Okay.
but that may happen. We'll see.
Okay, I apologize. But yeah, do you have any other questions though before we wrap it up?
No, I think that's good for now. I think I need to play with what I got instead of getting another 20 things to think about that I won't do. So
Okay, sounds good, man. Yeah, just save the replay for sure, so you don't lose it, and then that will be your benchmark, and you can fill in the numbers yourself and save that notepad or whatever, and then you have it forever.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
All right, man. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
See you, dude. All right, boys. That has been a coaching lesson brought to you by myself, Mr. ViBE, the potty mouth. But I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys like the method. This is actually something I've told a lot of people to use. This definitely helps players improve their macro. It gives you like good understandings of where you're going wrong, basically. But yeah, if you never knew about this, go try it yourself. It does have, it's a good way to break the game down in a more easy to understand way. So yeah, man, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, subscribe if you liked it. Take it easy. Peace.